video is sponsored by Alliance for Positive Health and is made specifically for our Food for Life program. So, rundown for Food for Life. It is a program where we can help individuals work on their nutrition behavior while also working on areas such as shopping for food on a budget, just learning basic nutrition information, and then, cooking specific to your dietary needs, because that varies for everyone. So yeah, if you have any questions or you want to learn more about the program, just click the link below this YouTube video and it'll bring you right to our webpage. All right? So for today's recipe, we are going to be making fresh basil pesto. One of my favorite things, or condiments, one of my favorite condiments, I should say. I like putting pesto in my eggs. I like mixing it with some mayo and using it on a sandwich. That's super tasty. What else? Pasta, fresh basil and for fresh pesto and pasta, that's super great too. So really, you can put it on a lot of things, and that's what I like about it, and it's super easy to make, so that's also a benefit. So for this recipe, I'm actually doubling it, but I'll tell you the breakdown of what just a small batch would be. And that would be 2 cups of fresh basil leaves right there. You can get them in the store. You can also get them if you have a garden. We have a garden at Alliance, and this came right from the garden, so that's really cool. Half a cup of Romano cheese. A 1/3 cup of pine nuts. A half a cup of olive oil. I'm using extra virgin olive oil. I believe it's an 1/8 teaspoon of freshly ground, or not freshly ground pepper, it's just pepper, it's not freshly ground. That takes some work. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and I think that is it. So, to first start, what you are going to do is blend your basil and your pine nuts together. You can do this with a blender at home. If you have a little food processor, that works too. I have I don't know where mine is. I'm going to be using my blender today. It's a Vitamix, so it's a really high quality blender, but a regular blender will work fine too. And then if you have a small food processor, that works just fine. So let's get started on that, and then we'll get to the next step. All right, so I got my bowl or blender container, and I'm gonna put my basil leaves right in it. Now for this, you don't have to super blend it, just pulse it a few times. You want everything to get nice and chopped up. And yeah, so dump that in there. Your 2 cups, this is actually 4 cups because I'm doubling the recipe. So 4 cups of basil if you're doubling, and 2/3 of pine nuts. All right, and I'll show you the blending part. All right, so I decided to change to my food processor. It just blends a little easier. If you just have a blender, that's okay. I have both, so it was an easy switch for me. So I blended my basil and my pine nuts together, pulsed it a few times so it's nice and ground, and then the next step is to throw in your garlic cloves, and your cheese. So I'm going to toss that in and give it another blend. And then after that, once that's combined, you're slowly going to put the olive oil in, and that'll really give it its saucy kind of texture to it. So yeah, I will do that, and then I'll show you the finishing touch. Alright, you guys can see it's turning into like this green saucy goodness. This food processor is nice. It was only like 20 bucks, so that's cool. But you can also put the olive oil right in the top. And there's a little container and there's a little hole, and it'll come out nice and slowly, just like it's supposed to for the recipe. So I'll just show you the finishing blend, and then I'll take it out and show you the finishing process. Alright guys, it's pretty much almost done. The last thing I'm going to do, once it's fully blended like this, I'm just going to add in my salt and pepper and then give it another blend, and we'll be done. Alright, so our pesto is all done. What I'm going to do for storage is, I know I'm going to eat a pretty good amount of this week, so I like keeping these small mason jars on hand with the lids, and I'll fill this one up and I'll keep it in the fridge as a condiment I'll use this week. And then what I like to do with the rest is I like to freeze it. People have been known to freeze it in ice cube trays, and then once it's frozen, you can break them out and put them in a bag. I like freezing it in a baking pan, or a little bit bigger than this is fine too, so then I can take it out and I can break it up into different size pieces depending on what I want to use it, because sometimes I only want a little bit and I don't want a whole cube of pesto. I just want a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'll show you the finishing touches, okay? Alright, so when I doubled the recipe, this is what it got me. It got me about full-sized small mason jar. So that's all set. I'm going to pop that in the fridge, and then this is probably, I would say it's like a 9x9 pan. And it got me a full layer of that. So I'm going to freeze this, and then in about 2 or 3 hours I'll cut it up and I'll show you what that'll look like in bags. Alright? Alright guys, so I actually let the pesto sit in the freezer overnight. So it looks like this. Nothing too crazy. I just took a dough scraper and I used that to cut it. Like I said yesterday, I like using a pan better. I've used an ice cube tray before, but for me it was really hard to get the pesto out of the ice cube tray when they were frozen. This is a lot easier. All I have to do is break it up and then it comes right out. See? So yeah, so that's pretty much it. I am going to take a Ziploc bag. I'm gonna write the date that we made it. So the 14th was yesterday. I'll just date it, and then I know how long it's been in the freezer for. So yeah, that is your pesto recipe. If you have any questions about the Food4Life program, just click the link below and it'll direct you right to our webpage. All right, thanks guys, have a great day.